verging on a drudge. He wrote travel essays, too, a whole book of them, which appeared as Their Heads Are Green and Their Hands Are Blue, 1963. And as this new and valuable collection shows, he wrote vastly more travel pieces than are represented there, more than 30 of them that have never been collected before or reprinted. These range from journal entries and near prose poems, a long autobiographical poem, Paul Bowles' His Life, polemical essays, political commentaries, and magazine pieces for glossy travel magazines, as well as magisterial introductions to books such as I am attempting to do now. He was handsome and hard to impress, watchful, solitary, and knew his own mind. His mood of acceptance, even of fatalism, made him an ideal traveler. He was not much of a gastronome, as his fiction shows. The disgusting meal, fur in the rabbit stew, interested him much more than haute cuisine. He was passionate about landscape and its effects on the traveler, as The Baptism of Solitude demonstrated. He was fascinated by the moods of the sky, and he was animated by the grotesque, wherever its misshapen form can be found. He would have loved this observation by Augustus Hare in The Story of My Life. It used to be said that the reason why Mrs. Barber had only one arm and part of another was that Aunt Caroline had eaten the rest. Contemptuous of what passes for progress or technology, he speaks in one of these pieces about Colombo being afflicted with the 20th century's gangrene, by which he means modernity. As these newly disinterred pieces show over and over, Bowles was far from the dandy dilettante that he is sometimes perceived to be. In the 62 years they represent, from 1931 to 1993, Bowles was a serious and extremely hard-working writer, trying to make a living. For after the success of The Sheltering Sky, 1948, his books were not brisk sellers. This is a salutary as well as an enlightening collection, demonstrating that the prudent writer, if he or she wishes to be spared the indignities of a real job and the oppressions of a tetchy boss, has to keep writing. Bowles was fortunate in writing at a time, not long ago, but now gone, when travel magazines still welcomed long, thoughtful essays. He wrote for the American Holiday magazine. The frivolous name masked a serious literary mission. The English fiction writers V.S. Pritchett and Lawrence Durrell also traveled for this magazine. So did John Steinbeck after he won the Nobel Prize for Literature, when he crisscrossed the United States with his dog. Bowles wrote for The Nation, and Harper's, too, and contributed to essay collections. As we see here, Bowles wrote a piece for Holiday about hashish, another of his enthusiasms, since he was a lifelong stoner. He knew what he enjoyed in travel and what bored him. If I am faced with the decision of choosing between visiting a circus and a cathedral, a cafe and a public monument, or a fiesta and a museum, I am afraid I shall normally take the circus, the cafe, and the fiesta. No matter who he is writing for, travel magazine or pompous quarterly, he is never less than felicitous and often funny. Of the Algerian hinterland, when you come upon a town in such regions, lying like the remains of a picnic lunch in the middle of an endless parking lot, you know it was the French who put it there. Or in the desert, drinking piping hot Pepsi-Cola, or seeing locust-ravaged date palms whose branches look like the ribs of a broken umbrella. Or the unforgettable Monsieur Omar, lying in his bed smoking, clad in only his shorts, a delighted and indestructible Humpty Dumpty. One of the oddities, not to say weird anachronisms in some of these pieces, is his casual mention of slaves of slavery. If there is no slave or servant handy, he writes in Holiday in 1950. In a piece the same year, about Fez, he writes, Sidi Abdallah has a slave girl by whom he had a child. The slave market has been abolished by the French, but the institution still persists. Stating it flatly, without details. 9 years later, another offhand remark, in a piece about hospitality in Africa Minor.